All right. Welcome to the Intellectual Idiot Show. Second go at it here in back to back weeks. We got some very exciting topics that we want to talk about today. And there's been a lot that's gone on, even just a week in the NFL. Delvin Cook still doesn't have a destination. There's been a couple other things that have been going on. DeAndre Hopkins still doesn't have a destination, but I know that there's been some movement. So there are some fun topics that we want to get into today, kind of spark a little bit of controversy. And I'm going to hand it off to Tyler.
All right, yeah. First topic that we wanted to cover, go through some dark horse MVP candidates. Some people that we feel, are more under the radar and not necessarily in the top five of the MVP, votes or odds. It's exciting to potentially predict someone who, really you really wouldn't think it would be possible, but talk about it and see why, it potentially could be possible. So my first one was the comeback player of the year last year, Geno Smith. The man, has one of the most powerful offensive weapons in the game. Ranging from, one of the most talented receivers in the game, DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett continues to prove himself year in and year out as one of the most consistent players in the league. And also signing a guy like Jackson Smith in the Jigba, a first rounder who was he was the most talented receiver in the draft. 70% completion percentage last year. I think he has potential to elevate up to MVP numbers. 30 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 70% completion percentage. Who would have ever thought in a million years, 7 years ago, that we'd be talking about Geno Smith being a potential dark horse MVP candidate? It's wild how, this is such an interesting story to me because, there's no one in the NFL that's, ever resurrected a career this late into their career, showing nothing and just pure disaster every year. And now we're talking about it.
It's going to be fun to see Geno Smith next year, too, because the Seahawks were a weird team last year. They started off so hot, drew so much attention. Everybody kind of just anticipated for the Seahawks to fall off, and
everyone needed them to be a shit show with Drew Lock and Smith.
Yeah, and they kind of did fall off a little bit towards the back end of the season. They struggled a little bit more, so I'm kind of excited to see if Geno Smith can put together a full season. They gave him the money. They gave him the money to prove himself, kind of like the hey, prove it deal. You know what I mean? You've earned it, and yeah, I like it, Tyler. That's a good pick. Are we doing 1-1 or are we doing?
I'll just go all three. You can do your three.
Oh, big guy! Take the spotlight. All right, go ahead.
Number 2, we could potentially argue that Justin Jefferson is on pace to be the second best receiver of all time. His statistics are absolutely mind-blowing. It's really hard to pass a guy like Jerry Rice, but 2020, 88 catches, 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns. Next season, it's a constant uptrend. 2021, 108 catches, 1,616 yards, 10 touchdowns. And this year, 1,800 yards and 8 touchdowns. The man is on a constant trajectory upwards. Defenses cannot stop him. No wide receiver has ever won MVP, but the position rarely draws really many votes at all. I think the last one was Calvin Johnson, but clearly Justin Jefferson really is no ordinary wideout. With this trajectory right now, he could break 2,000 yards, which would be the first time ever. And Kirk Cousins, he throws the ball to him so many times. They drafted a young receiver to take some pressure off. They still got KJ Osborne. I think Justin Jefferson, if any receiver were to do it besides Calvin Johnson, I think he is the guy. He is incredible. Max, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's just not against Jai Alexander. The reality is John Money shutting him down 10 times out of 10.
He cooks Jair Alexander. He cooks everyone.
Who? Just Jefferson?
Jefferson cooks everyone.
Dude, Jair embarrassed Justin Jefferson later in the. Did you see that? Watch that Packers Vikings game and that Packers must win late in the season. Ja shut him down. But no, the reality is Justin Jefferson is an unbelievable receiver, and just week after week he takes people's game plans against him and just shreds them. And it's my God. And you know what makes me the most sick out of all of it? And it's continuing to allow Kirk Cousins to have a job.
Yeah, for real. Honestly,
Justin Jefferson is continuing to allow Kirk Cousins to limp his career along.
That's going to be the title of this episode. Justin Jefferson is letting Kirk Cousins limp on in this league or something like that. It's got to.
Kirk Cousins still has a job because of Justin Jefferson.
Cousins limps on just JJ.
True. All right. Hit me with your last one.
All right, last one. This might be a little controversial, but I truly do believe if Tua stays healthy, he has a chance. I mean, their team is loaded with the best duo wide receiver in the entire game with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I mean, they're a team that really oozes sex appeal. The Dolphins, obviously, their biggest question mark is the guy who brings it all together. Tua, when he's there, everything's great. When he's hurt, they're very average.
Right.
If he stays healthy, Miami could be really the most watchable, most fun team in the NFL. I mean, realistically, when he was playing last year, still in the entire league last year, he led the league in passer rating at 105.5, and which people didn't think he really could toss the ball along. Obviously, he's got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but he had the highest yards per attempt last year as well at 8.9, which is, 2 years ago, no one would have thought that. And, you have the most devastating wide receiver duo in NFL history, one of. I still think Tua could be a dark horse candidate to potentially win MVP if he stays healthy. Big if. Obviously, I'm at the point where I think he maybe should consider retiring if he gets another head injury because
I think he should retire now.
I just watched the movie Concussion with Will Smith, and it is crazy the research that is done of like how the brain just sits fluently. It doesn't have any protection of any hit. The average, I think, G-force that I saw was like 100 or something in the NFL, and it takes like 60 G-forces for the brain to get lodged against the actual head. So it's thousands and thousands of devastating hits, and he's truly had so many concussions. I'm very nervous for the longevity of his life, but if he's able to put it together and like truly stay healthy, he's a good good potential in my eyes as a dark horse candidate.
All right, I like it. So I need to make a headline here. Okay, these are not people that I enjoy that I'm going to be talking about. These are not people that I support in any way. Just so we're clear. Very, very clear. In fact, I can't stand them. But my first overall dark horse pick to an MVP is a man whom I hate with my entire being, who is a scum of the earth. But I do believe that Deshaun Watson could be a dark horse candidate to win MVP. People forget Deshaun Watson's not going to have it any easier going into away stadiums. I'll tell you that right now. He is a scumbag. He is an absolute bottom of the barrel person. And I truly believe that. But with that being said, I don't think that everybody can ignore the talent level that Deshaun Watson can bring to the table. I think he struggled last year just because it was like in the midst of all the adversity and everything that was going on. And now that's kind of on the back burner for Deshaun Watson. I think he's had like a full summer to kind of come back and train with his players and all this stuff. And I really do believe that he definitely is a dark horse candidate to win MVP. I hate him. I am not condoning Deshaun Watson in any way by saying this. But I do believe that he definitely has a really, really good shot to come through and to potentially win MVP this year just because of the sheer talent level that he has.
For the Steelers' sake, I hope not. But right now, according to Caesar's odds, he has a plus 4,000 chance to win MVP, which would put him at 12th. Last year he was awful. He was clearly rusty, 79 passer rating, 7 touchdowns to 5 interceptions in just 6 games. They signed or traded for Elijah Moore. They got Cedric Tillman. They still have Amari Cooper, who's really still one of the game's best wideouts. They do have the weapons. They have Nick Chubb. The run game is going to be great with him. I do agree. There is a chance. Don't like the guy at all. I think he's, not a good person, but
yeah, people cannot forget about the talent level that Deshaun Watson has and like what he did in Houston. He's still a remarkable player and is a guy that can definitely put a team on his back and if he's playing at his best. So Deshaun Watson is my first pick. My second pick is, again, not a player that I enjoy, not a team I enjoy, but Justin Fields. I think it's a make or break year for Justin Fields. I really do. And I don't believe in Justin Fields. I don't think that he is going to be a good quarterback in this league. I personally think Justin Fields is a poor man's Lamar Jackson. But if this topic is strictly dark horse candidates to win MVP, I think you have to throw Justin Fields' name into the mix. He does have arm strength. He obviously has a ton of athletic ability. He is extremely fast. He has had weapons that have been added to that wide receiver room, which I think is the biggest thing in Chicago. I think the excuses are they have a true number one now. They have Chase Claypool. They have talent. So I think all the excuses are gone for Justin Fields at this point. Like now he's got the receivers. He's got a decent offensive line. He has the offense to be able to prove himself. So from a strictly standpoint of dark horse candidate, I have to throw Justin Fields' name into the hat.
I would agree. I think, Fields has a lot of strides to make in terms of passing, but you could argue that I think he is faster than Lamar. I don't think he's more elusive in terms of his shiftiness, but from when I watch tape between him and Lamar, Fields will continually outrun defensive backs, whereas Lamar, people will catch up to him. I think his long-term stamina speed is not as good as Fields, but when he gets an open field, he's impossible to catch, Justin Fields. And like every other game, I feel like he was ripping a 50-plus yard touchdown. So if he was able to balance that with some, his weapons and passing this year, I'm very nervous from a Packers perspective, and I think it could happen. I mean, very rough odds. I think they're 20-1 for him to win it, but potential dark horse.
All right. So my last pick, and I think your jaw might drop when I say this, but I do have some explanation behind it. Matthew Stafford. And why I think that Matthew Stafford, there's a good chance that he has a major bounce back. The Rams have no expectations going into this year, and I truly believe that the Rams could be a legitimate contender. And why I say this is the Rams had what can go wrong will go wrong was the story of last year for the Rams. Like you had Matthew Stafford was never healthy. From week one, he was never healthy. Cooper Kupp was injured most of the season. They lost a couple weapons. They had more injuries on the offensive line. They had a ton of injuries on the defensive side of things, right? They no longer have Jalen Ramsey, but they still have Aaron Donald. They still have some pieces on defense where they can build. They still have one of the most brilliant, talented head coaches in the history of football that is leading their offense. They still have Cooper Kupp, who people forget because he did get hurt. He is one of the best receivers in football. So there are still opportunities for the Rams to succeed. They have weapons on offense. Matthew Stafford's only 35 years old. He's still got a lot of arm strength. He still has the ability to rebound in a big way. And I think the Rams are a contender, not only as an organization to rebound in a big way, but I really, really think that Matthew Stafford has the opportunity to, if he's like Geno Smith right now, right? Geno Smith, the Seahawks had no expectations, and he put them into the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Matthew Stafford has the ability to be able to do the same thing here. The Rams, nobody thinks that the Rams are going to do anything this year, right? But I think Matthew Stafford's going to get a lot of love. The spotlight is going to be on him on that offense, and I think that there's a really good chance that he can make a little magic happen, and I think that Matthew Stafford still has a lot of talent and the ability to really bring up an offense if need be. So Matthew Stafford is my third candidate for MVP. So Ty, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously he won a Super Bowl. Like he still has it in him. I think he was a guy who was really injured last year, and the Rams were dealing with injuries all year with their receiving core. Cooper Kupp getting injured, Cam Akers went down, came back, was great in the end of the year. It was just kind of a revolving door. So, I mean, if they show some consistency with health, maybe. We'll see. I do have one more that I wanted to mention. I think the audience needed to hear this from both Packers perspectives. But what do we feel in Aaron Rodgers being a potential dark horse candidate? I mean,
I don't think
he still is Aaron Rodgers, and he has Garrett Wilson, who I truly believe is going to be a top 5 receiver in this league. I mean, they have weapons galore. Breece Hall, I mean, I think it could be a potential.
But,
If
but
he shows up
the
with
I don't
focus,
know, Tyler. What I think about that is the reason why I didn't say Aaron Rodgers is because I don't think that he's a dark horse. Like, I think that a lot of people think that he could win MVP. And I mean, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of football. And like, I think that he had a good year last year, just not up to Aaron Rodgers standards with a bunch of rookie receivers and a
yeah,
lot of tension within the front office.
they put his
Right?
odds just below Trevor Lawrence and right above Dak Prescott. So that's interesting. Um, Trevor Lawrence being higher than Rodgers. That's, I mean,
People are big on Trevor Lawrence
I
this year.
love Trevor
And
Lawrence.
this could be,
Him and Joe Burrow are the new faces of the younger generation.
yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what, man. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, Justin
Obviously Mahomes, Herbert too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Allen, Herbert, right? I don't believe in Herbert necessarily, but going back to what we were saying is Trevor Lawrence is people are really, really high on him. But people do forget that Rodgers won MVP just 2 short years ago. So it's like he's certainly not like it's not like he's gonna fall off a cliff this year. You know,
he seems much more focused. Like he's going to the mini camps, OTAs that he generally would sometimes skip with the Packers. I think he is going to be locked and loaded, and wanting redemption with the Jets.
Yeah, I really don't wish the worst for him. Like I hope he succeeds.
We'll definitely watch every Jets game. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna watch most of them. Right, I'm pulling the trigger on NFL Sunday tickets.
A really fun team to watch.
Yeah, I'm pulling the trigger on NFL Sunday tickets, so we're gonna make.
Oh yeah, YouTube TV. They taken it over this year. No more Direct TV.
Whoa, no, I have Direct TV Stream now.
No, dude, Direct TV doesn't have Sunday NFL Ticket anymore. It's all YouTube. It's on YouTube TV. You can't get it on Direct TV anymore.
Well, my dad still has a YouTube TV account, so
you pulled the trigger on the wrong account when you've had YouTube
TV. No, because I wanted MLB Network and YouTube got rid of that. So it's you can never win with these streaming channels. But
pain in the ass.
Yeah, but I mean, a couple other guys that I kind of had in the back of my mind that I kind of wanted to throw out there is like Derek Carr. I think that him changing scenery, he's got a lot of talent. I mean, I don't love Derek Carr, but I think that's a potential like dark horse candidate to be able to throw out there. And then
very dark horse.
Yeah, and then I was thinking maybe Davante Adams too. I had him in mindset, but also very Jimmy G. I wonder how that experiment is going to go.
A very dark horse. That's like a horse that's about to be put down.
That's a horse that's so to be taken out back.
Derby, like they just broke their leg. They're not ready to go anymore. They're just like, maybe it could run and do well, but like really, it should be done.
Yeah, Davante Adams made an absolutely horrendous mistake going to Vegas.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what the Packers would be if he stayed? With Rodgers, would he have stayed? Would the trajectory have been different? Who knows?
Well, I mean, it's interesting too because like he left pretty much because of Rodgers, like waiting to always make a decision. And then on top of that, though, it was also like the front office. Did you hear like the story? Davante came out and talked about it. Did you hear him talk about it? He was like basically saying he was like, yeah, I mean, if the Packers didn't send me such an insulting offer for the first offer, I would still be in Green Bay.
Yikes.
But the Packers offer was so remarkably mind-bogglingly low for Davante Adams, their first crack at it, that he was just like, I'm not. If he made his mind up at that point that he just simply was not going to be going back to
Green Bay. They don't respect me enough, but cool.
What an absolute disaster. Go ahead, sorry, Ty.
I was just going to say, well, it's a fun episode. Dark Horse MVP candidates. If anyone has any suggestions for any episode topics, feel free to shoot us a DM on Instagram or, directly reach out to us, texting if you know us personally. But we'll be posting this on YouTube, Spotify.
We're not posting this whole video on YouTube, though. So it's just going to be – oh, we are?
Yes.
Oh, I thought we weren't going to.
Yes, we are. So you can check it on YouTube if you want as well. But like I said, reach out, subscribe, listen, Max.
Comment. Follow us on Spotify. No, and we're excited about it, right? So keep listening. We appreciate you listening, and we'll be back at it every single Tuesday to be able to
back and better than ever.
Back and better than ever. 2 episodes straight, absolute fire. We got a lot of listens last week, dude. So we are absolutely riding.
what?
And also, yeah, I'm also going to throw up a poll. For on Instagram for these dark horse candidates to see who did
We'll
better.
put votes for all 6 people.
Okay, bet. Sounds good. All right, everybody, thank you. Subscribe, follow, do whatever you want to. Tyler, take us out.
Intellectual idiots are out.